loves, and welcome to a 48-hour thriller slash Winterween readathon. So I'm super excited. I've got a bunch of books here that I'm going to try to read this weekend. So I'm going to start tonight at 5 p.m. and I'm gonna go until Sunday at 5 p.m. and just see how many books that I can read. The first book that I'm planning on reading tonight, which I have the audiobook arc for, which I'm really excited about, and then I have 2 books off of my tabletop TBR, and then I have 2 possible books that we might get into if I'm able to get through all of these fairly quickly. So we'll see how it goes. It's currently 4:58. I have a couple minutes before the readathon happens. All right, we have begun. I'm gonna be starting with A Flicker in the Dark by Stacey Willingham.
She nods at the bookshelf in the corner, still avoiding me.
Okay, 14% into the audiobook. Loving the narration so far into it, but all I can say is lots of red flags. Like, that's all I'm getting are just red flags everywhere. I do have an idea of what might be part of the ending, which I ended up writing down in my reading journal. And hopefully I'm wrong or there's some other twist to accompany it. But right now I am still, like, it's the beginning, things are being set up. I'm still interested in figuring out what's it's gonna be all about. So, yeah, that's where we're at. My coworker today was all like, yeah, it's 2022, the second round of year 2020. I was all like, no, that's too good.
But yeah, about 5 years. I just don't want to go out. Good night.
Good night. Okay, so we're 6 hours into the 48-hour reading challenge, and I just finished A Flicker in the Dark, and I enjoyed it. It was good. It was good. Mixed feelings, but it definitely had me invested. It definitely had me thinking. I was trying to solve what was going on. There were some interesting twists that happened. There were some that I thought were kind of stupid. Our main character did some stupid things. No surprise there, I guess. That's just like a trope. But for the most part, like, I was really into it. So I'm interested to see what the final rating is going to be once I put it in Call Pile. I think it's probably going to end up being a 4 stars, but I don't know. Kiwi's next to me sleeping, and this is as far as I ended up getting with the second drawing that I'm going to be doing for Patreon this month. So I ended up doing this design, figuring it all out, and now I'm doing the updated line art based off of that sketch. So it is currently 11 p.m. and my neck is killing me. So I think I'm going to get ready for bed and I will catch you in the morning. Okay, so I just finished putting together the results into the Call Pile, which is Book Roast's rating system. It's an 8.29. It's another 4 stars, which I feel like is fairly accurate. I enjoyed this a lot. Okay, it's time to start the next book.
I don't know what we do without him. He and Jean have been absolute rocks. It's what makes little nanny business all the more inexplicable.
Now, my preliminary thoughts on the turn of the key. Already, it's not 100% what I was expecting. So it says writing to her lawyer from prison. And she's telling the story of how she got there and what happened. I'm in the beginning. We've gotten through the setup, like it starts off with her trying to write this letter and her different attempts. And then we get to the one that's finally what she sends out. And now she's, you know, telling the story via this letter. And that was an interesting thing. I'm into it so far. It's too early for me to say much, but I am into it. Okay, so I just finished The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware, and this had me. Like, this had me. I was gripped the whole time. I just wanted to know what was happening, like what happened. And yes, yes, yes. that twist. Okay, so it had some bad vibes, but it did a good job with those bad vibes. There was great intrigue the whole time. I was all like, okay, what are we getting into? Like, what's happening? I loved the way it was written, the telling through a letter and the, like, a break in the story so that she can talk to the person. I loved this book. This book is good. I see the hype. I was here for it. It's funny because, like, part of me was all like, I'm probably not, right? Because, like, I think I've mentioned before, when it comes to, like, spooky house stories, like, I love the idea of them so much. I haven't read a lot, but I guess I'm more picky with them because I have just, like, expectations that I want out of a spooky house story. I think this did a good job. It wasn't the focus. I wouldn't say that this book is necessarily spooky, although it has spooky moments. It's a little bit more on the thrilling side. It's more mysterious. It's you trying to uncover the events that happen. Now, there are a couple of holes, I feel like, at the end. Like, we're given an answer, but there's things that I wanted. Like, I wanted just a little bit more after the reveal. They kind of gave it to me. I'm not sure, though. They mentioned something at the end regarding this whole thing that we're listening to. I think I need to read it again because I was listening to an audiobook and that happened kind of fast. So it may have gone over my head, but I'm here for it. I guess I need to go and put it in call pile real quick and see what my rating is, because right now it's a high one, baby. Woo! This was good. It's funny, I feel bad whenever I have such a strong positive reaction to something because I know it's not going to be for everybody, and I love going into books with low expectations. Like, I don't want somebody to see this and be like, oh my god, this is going to be amazing, because it might not for you, but it was for me. So, yes. Okay, so I just ended up doing everything for call pile. Just saying that sounds so weird. Anyway, so I ended up giving it a 9 for the characters. I think they were pretty well fleshed out, but I don't necessarily think they were perfect. Like, there was room. Atmosphere, I only gave it an 8. I think it was pretty solid, but, like, it's, again, not a book that I'm here for the atmosphere. Writing, I gave a 10. Plot, I gave a 10. And intrigue, I gave a 10. Because, yes, like, I will say they're not perfect, right? But, oh boy, was I totally invested. I loved the little twists and turns. I loved the details that we went through. I loved kind of the pacing of everything. I was very intrigued. I was very into it. I was very invested. And I feel like it did a good job giving me these different pieces of information that was interesting and relevant and random, but not random. I don't know how to describe it. Anyway, logic, I think, is an 8. Not terrible, not the best. Like, there's room for the logic to be better. There are flaws, but enjoyment was a 10. So this is the most amount of 10s that I've given so far this year, which makes this the highest rating at a 9.29, which is clearly a 5 stars. So yeah, wow. Oh, let's see how far I'm into the 48-hour readathon. So we are 18 hours into the 48-hour readathon. I will probably talk about whether or not my feelings change at the end of the month in the second reading vlog that I do for January, because I'm going to try and break my reading vlogs into 2. I will be mentioning these, but obviously all of the details are in this vlog and not the first reading vlog where this falls under. Maybe I should just have a wrap up. I don't know. I do want to follow up with this in the future to see whether or not I still feel the same later, you know? Okay, my reading gear is off to a superb start. I have not gotten anything underneath a 4 so far. So I just finished They Never Learn by Lane Fargo, and I should not have liked this as much as I did. Like, there's problems with liking this book, right? It's about like, okay, it's it's about a serial killer woman who kills horrible men, right? And I was here for it, right? Like, the suspense, the thrills, the, like, twists, the figuring out what's gonna happen, the different storylines, the, like... Yeah, I mean, like, it was It was frustrating. I didn't like everything that the characters did. Some things that I thought were very stupid. Obviously, I'm not here for someone being a murderer, but there is a part of me who knows how unjust, unfortunately, the world is, and couldn't help get a little bit of satisfaction knowing that there's a vigilante out there doing, I was gonna say God's work, but that's fucking horrible. Like, that's a terrible thing to say considering. Oh my goodness, I should not have liked this book. Something's wrong with me, but I was here for it. I do not know how to describe this book. I do not know how to describe this book. I will tell you straight up, I gave it 5 stars. 5 stars for this masterpiece. I feel terrible for enjoying this book as much as I did, but 5 stars. And now, I guess we should see how far into this readathon we are. 24 hours into the readathon. Oh, it's 5:05. Okay, yeah, no, that makes sense. I was like, what time is it? Apparently wasn't paying attention. So we're 24 hours into the 48-hour readathon. We have another day. So now that I got all of these out of the way and I'm having such a good reading month, I figured we would go with For Your Own Good by Samantha Downing because it fits with the They Never Learned. Especially if you saw the 22 books that I want to read in 2022, you would know I ended up adding these at the same time and totally mixed up their descriptions. But this one I'm pretty sure is about a teacher who starts drugging his students so that they would perform better, which is why it's For Your Own Good. But I'm assuming something bad happens. I don't know. But this is the next book that we're going to get into. I only have one more book that I was planning on reading for this, and I guess if I get through it, I'm gonna try and pick some more because we're gonna see how many I can get through in 48 hours. Okay, so I thought this would be the perfect book to do the read in the dark prompt for Winterween, and I brought a candle for atmospheric effect, and yeah, we'll see how this goes. Okay, so I got some good candlelight shots. Now I'm just going to just listen to the audiobook because reading by candlelight is ridiculous and I don't want to cause a fire. So I will catch you in the morning. Good morning! We are 37.5 hours into my 48-hour readathon and I am still reading For Your Own Good. I got most of the way through last night. I have a couple of hours left of the audiobook, and then I'm going to be switching to our last pre-picked book, but possibly not our last book for the challenge. We'll see. I'm going to see if I can fit in one extra book, and I have a couple of ideas for what that might be, so yas. I am currently in the kitchen trying to make a cup of tea so I can start the day off right. And I figured it would be a good time to tell you my thoughts on For Your Own Good so far. I'm liking it the least out of all of the books that I read, but it purposefully has a bunch of unlikable characters, so I think like that's part of the reason. Like I'm just not as invested in the story. I am interested, so there is some intrigue, but I don't think it's as like gripping as some of the other books have been. It's good, I'm enjoying it for the most part, but compared to all of my other reads, it's eh. So I like to let the tea bag seep in my almond milk, and then once I pour in the water, I can kind of like squeeze out some more of the tea, and then I'm ready to go. Okay, so I just finished For Your Own Good by Samantha Downing. It was a pretty good book, but it definitely wasn't the best out of what I've read so far. It had a cast of unlikable characters. There was no real atmosphere in it, which is fine. It's not a book about atmosphere. The writing was fine. The plot was meh. It did have some interesting things that it did. There was a lot going on that also made it feel pretty interesting, but like in the beginning, I didn't know what I was supposed to like care about. It dragged a little bit in the beginning, and then towards the end, it definitely picked up and there was like a lot going on and I was a little bit more intrigued. I think it was fairly believable. It was frustrating. I think the thing that kind of just sucks is that people get away with a lot of crappy stuff. So it didn't get anything under a 6 for me, so it wasn't bad. So the rating ended up being a 6.71, which turns into a 3 stars. Again, I did enjoy it. I did think it was good. I just didn't enjoy it as much as the other books that I read. But unfortunately, it was meh for me for the most part. That does mean it's time to move on to the last book that I already had planned for the thriller 48-hour readathon. And we are about 39 hours and hopefully we can finish this. Okay, so it is 10:19. I'm currently listening to the audiobook for No Exit. I just finished doing my daily sketchbook page. I'm making another cup of tea for the morning. You don't need to see that again, but I think my roommate's out for a run right now. Hopefully I'm not being super obnoxious because I'm walking around the apartment talking to myself. But yeah, so I've just been working in bed this morning. So you can see Kiwi stole my seat. I ended up getting this like chair thing so that I'm not like breaking my back if I want to work in bed, and then a desk so that I can put my iPad stand on here and work semi-ergonomically, but it's not perfect. So I did edit this video a teeny bit. Looking good, if I do say so myself. There is definitely room for improvement, but I'm happy for the most part. It does look like the tea water is nice and boiled. There's a cat hair on the inside of my cup top. I really don't want that to be there. He's stuck and I can't get it. Oh, no, there's another one. Oh my god. Why does Kiwi hair have to be literally everywhere? Got it. Gross. Okay. Just going to finish setting this up and I guess I'll chat with you later. Okay, it is currently 2:30. We're 45.5 hours into the 48-hour thriller readathon and I have finished the last book that was on the list, No Exit by Taylor Adams. This is basically about a girl who gets stuck at a rest stop during a snowstorm and notices a kid in the back of a van. And then it's basically her trying to figure out what to do about this. It gets real intense. There are some very interesting twists and turns. And the ending, yeah. This was good. I was thinking that it was probably going to be a 4-star because my enjoyment, I feel like in the beginning, it was there, but it was a little bit on the low side. I got really into it by the end. Same with the plot. I was kind of all like, I don't know. But again, at the end, I was like, okay, no, I'm here for it. The logic is the lowest thing that I think on here. There are a couple of things like consistency wise or that would make sense that I was kind of like, I don't know about that. But I think the book did a really good job. I was still really into it. I believed it for the most part. So like I had a good time. It was a good book. I recommend. This one I actually picked for Winterween because Winterween is currently happening right now, which is the readathon put on by Gabby Reads and Olivia Reads a Latte. Both YouTubers here that you guys probably are aware of. I will have them linked down below. Big fan. I ended up doing this last year as well, and I'm hoping to do Summerween this year. I love reading horror and thriller books, so like this is totally up my alley, and one of the prompts was to read a winter themed book, and this was actually suggested by Gabby Reads. I know she really likes it, and she's right. Okay, so I had a very successful reading challenge. We only have like 2.5 hours, a little less than 2.5 hours left, so I do not believe I can finish a book in that time. So I'm actually gonna call it here. That being said, I did manage to get through quite a lot of books this weekend, so I am pretty proud of my accomplishments. And I had a really good reading weekend because these were all fantastic. We had a 4-star, a 3-star, and 3 friggin' 5 stars. So 2022 is off to a great start for me in terms of reading, and I'm really excited for the rest of the reads for this month, which I will have going up in my January reading vlogs. I'm going to try and split it up into 2 so that they're shorter. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to thumbs up. Let me know in the comments section down below. Include this emoji to let me know that you made it far. Check out some of my other reading vlogs, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, bye!